أما بعد. Previously, we did the tafsir of Surat Kahf. As we read Surat Kahf normally on Thursday nights at Ishaa, and we take some of the lessons from the Surah. In the previous lesson, we talked about the passage of the page that comes in Surat Kahf. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about the worldly life in comparison to the akhirah. It is the lesson from the story of the two men in the gardens. The two men in the two gardens, one man, he used to feed the poor and he used to worship Allah with what dunya he was given, whereas the other man, it led the dunya that he had and Allah gave him, led him to become a kafir. But the man, he asks him, أَكَفَرْتَ بِالَّذِي خَلَقَكَ? Do you disbelieve in the one who has created you? And today we are going to take another passage and another lesson from Surah Al-Kahf. And this part, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opens up and he says in this page, وَلَقَدْ صَرَّفْنَا فِي هَذَا الْقُرْآنِ لِلنَّاسِ مِنْ كُلِّ مَثَلٍ. That we have verily done tasrif. Tasrif. And tasrif, this word that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses in similar places in the Quran, وَلَقَدْ صَرَّفْنَا فِي هَذَا الْقُرْآنِ لِيَدَّبَّرُوا. Right? This tasrif, this concept is when you have one source and from that source you have many other things that come as a result. And it reaches different angles. And the example of this is in the Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَتَصْرِيفِ الرِّيَاحِ. That the winds, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there's no new wind that's being created. But it's just the same wind that was a few months ago in India. Now it made its way to Columbus, Ohio. And we see this now, we're in hurricane season. What happens after the south part of America experiences hurricanes? We get crazy weather for like a week or so, right? In the north, in Ohio, right? So this tasrif of the winds, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala moving. And that same similar concept, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taking the examples in the Quran, and one example building on another, and another example building on another, until we get this entire image, and then we get a lesson. And that's what Surah Al-Kahf is, a surah filled with lessons. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلَقَدْ صَرَّفْنَا فِي هَذَا الْقُرْآنِ لِلنَّاسِ مِنْ كُلِّ مَثَلٍ. But there's a problem. وَكَانَ الْإِنسَانُ أَكْثَرَ شَيْءٍ جَدَلًا. But mankind, if anything, mankind is one who is argumentative. Every single thing comes with an argument. No doubt. Two days ago, was it? The lesson of the people of Banu Israel and Musa alayhi salam. And then being told to enter into the land, not to fight anybody. No, there wasn't any order of fighting. It was just enter the land. If you enter the land, you guys are victorious. They said, no, if we're entering the land, we have to fight. And if we fight, those guys are going to defeat us. So Musa, you and your Lord, go together, go fight. We're going to stay here. And when they mentioned Ishaa Talk, Allah bless him. And another, subhanAllah, you guys, Shah mentioned last time I was here that his sheikh is here. Today my sheikh is here. So we have three generations of
That's true.
He's your grand sheikh, huh? MashaAllah.
Great mufti.
So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that. Then he continues and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions the people and their reaction to guidance and truth coming to them. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَا مَنَعَ النَّاسَ أَن يُؤْمِنُوا. What is stopping the people from disbelieving? What is the reason why they don't take the Quran and the deen that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made perfected? Why won't they take it? And it's astonishing. And this su'al is not a su'al that the answer is expected from you, but the answer is actually very clear. Is that there's no reason for them not to take the guidance. The surah in Juz Amma, فَمَا يُكَذِّبُكَ بَعْدُ بِالدِّينِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions all of these ayat and he complete all these different signs, and he ends the surah with, what will make you disbelieve in Islam? After all these things we've mentioned. ثم رددناه وأسفل سافلين الله أليس الله بأحكم الحاكمين. All of these things Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned, what will make the person disbelieve? It should be nothing. It should be nothing that stands between the person and believing in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues. Then the messengers are sent. And the purpose of the messengers is to separate between the people. It's to separate between the people in bringing good news for some and bringing bad news for others. That's why when we have friends, we're a group, and we're all sinning, the one guy who starts praying and now he's telling us, "Ikhwa, this is not good, let's not do this anymore," that's the first guy we turn on. And that's the example of the prophets. Their job is the most difficult job. It's to go against an entire nation of people and say all of the things that you're doing is wrong. And then that's the example of the people who do da'wah, right? A person who's standing up. Many people may not believe in the purpose. Many people may not push it. Many people may not even think, "Hey, what do we gain from people learning Islam? I'm just a 9 to 5 Muslim. Let me live my life." But what goes beyond? What's the next thing? And so this is the job of the messengers. And the person who steps up into the role of a messenger, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala aid them, because it's a difficult job. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues within the same passage. And He mentions how every single nation has a point that they will end. And every single nation is made up of individuals. And thus every single individual has a point that they will end. There is a point that you will not surpass. And so all of your efforts should be pooled to preparing for that moment. All of the efforts should be what? Should be pooled to preparing for that moment. And the best way to prepare for it starts with trusting Allah. And so the test now, so the next lesson we're going to learn, foreshadowed now in the next lesson, is to come the story of Musa, the concept of trusting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's the next thing, we're going to come to it. But right now, you're going to end, prepare yourself for that end. And start with trusting Allah. Then you'll build on that until we get to the end of the surah, inshaAllah ta'ala. And what is it? وَمَنْ كَانَ يُؤْمِنُ بِاللَّهِ what's the ayah? وَمَنْ كَانَ
فليعمل عملا صالحا.
Right? فَلْيَعْمَلْ عَمْلًا صَالِحًا. Let him do good deeds. So doing those good deeds. But وَمَنْ كَانَ يَرْجُو اللَّهَ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ, whoever has any any hope of Allah in the Day of Judgment, getting anything good in the Day of Judgment, then believe in Allah, do good deeds, and don't do any shirk. This is the end of the surah. And now we're going to work our way to that, inshaAllah ta'ala. So in that passage, preparation for the akhirah, taking on the message, and if you're capable of doing it, taking the role of da'wah. And da'wah has so many different facets, so many ways you can step into it. The calling fellow Muslims, leading the salah, doing adhan, working for the masjid, volunteering, giving charity, and then also da'wah to non-Muslims as well, which is now something that people have forgotten, subhanAllah. It's as if when I was younger, we used to do it a lot, which is how I met Allah and Allah bless them. But inshaAllah ta'ala, brothers, jazakumullah khair for lending your ears. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us to that which is right and make us those who follow the speech and follow the best of us.
It's not there, brother. We removed that.